Okay, you know me. Once again, J. Cage, the living man, live in the flesh. Here to represent Paper Circle Group. You understand? You know what I'm saying? Going into one of these, concepts that's for the conglomeration that we are building. And if you know me, you've been knowing that I've been doing different illustration on different strategies and different finance procedures. So right here, I'm gonna go ahead and put you a little bit in our business, how we look at things from the perspective of understanding universal laws and different pyramid structure breakdowns. So right here, we're going to go into this concept of M.A.D wealth. If you look at the pyramid real close, you will see up here you got M, which is for management. You got A, which is for acquisitions, and you got D for distributions. And when you look at it, you'll see M.A.D wealth by PCG and Wealtication, because I'm primarily operating Wealtication as an online university distributing different materials, free and online courses, and so far and so on. So with that being said, that's just one sector of the conglomeration. So if you look closely at our structure, you will notice that Paper Circle Group is a parent holding company that will be holding the assets and different things of that nature and different IPs and trademarks and business models and different things of that nature. So with that being said, this how it will work. You will see at one top tier, you have Paper Circle Group, right? That's a private health structure. Then within that structure, you have Paper Circle Investments, which are the portfolio management company. If you've been noticing that the goal is acquiring 100 units or better of small mom and pops companies that range, to me personally, into between 400,000 and 10 million. But also you can have $1 billion valuation, $1 billion operation that could be considered mom and pops, depending on how they operate it. So we're trying to acquire enough companies also as a private equity method. So with that being said, we'll focus on performing assets, cash flowing, and we still have our projects that we're developing, like Wealtication is a product-based digital service company that offer information, which is considered in this era content. Okay, so with that being said, when you look closely, in any type of investment and management company, you'll see first the investment. So we understand what mint means mental. That's why it's government. That's why it's investment. That's why it's treatment and all these meant the control. So we not focus on ownership. We're focused on control. So with management, we may not own some of the assets, but we control the assets. Okay. So with that being said, we are managing a portfolio of assets. Then you'll come over here. How do we manage it? Through acquisitions. And what is acquisition? Acquiring performing assets. So people use the word acquisition broadly more now, but acquisition to me are acquisition like carpet buyouts, private equity, apartment buildings. You're buying something that's already performing. Okay, so that's the acquisition sector of the concept. Okay, acquisitions have to do what? It have to distribute what? Dividends, interest, compensations to partners, etc. So also inside of this structure, you will see distribution could also be after acquisitions. You could be distributing different products that could be running down to retail. So you got products and services that have to be retail out to other channels and different things of that layer. So the distribution could be used as a two-prong. You see what I'm saying? First of all, I'm more focused on partners and things of that nature. And I'm also focused on the people that's going to help build these type of things for us and with us. So with that being said, the distributions is very important because I don't really care for retail, but I know how retail works. So I focus on retail temporary. So with that being said, you got management, acquisition, distribution. So this is how when a partner or a potential investor, which is pretty much the same thing, shareholder and stockholder and all these terms, do mean something a little bit different, but I'm not about to go into the details, the difference between a stockholder, a shareholder, and stakeholder, and potential partners. I'm gonna show you why you can have a potential partner as an investor, as a passive investor that don't have a stake to your company. That's why in C corporation you have something that's considered preferred stock that's issued first. So if this guy come in with a minimum $1 million and something go wrong, he could liquidate his money, but on record he don't have ownership. Somebody come in and buy the second layer of share, which would be common shares, then they got ownership up to 80%, 90%, or less 10%, whatever it is. So they showing that they have ownership, but the preferred stockholder is the one that's in a sense more protected. So it shows that you can have a passive investor that don't have no stock, but an agreement saying that they go to get money for the passive income that's coming in through intellectual property, income, etc. So with that being said, you have to understand when people speaking on uh, reaching out to investors, you got to have a PPM, private placement memorandum, okay, that you offer in private securities, which could be also alternated with bonds. But we focus on stock because that's equity. So wealthication is based on equity first over debt. We love debt like everyone else love it, but we try to understand the debt, the ratio, how much debt that we're going to accumulate when we actually know the valuation of our entity, our corporation, our structures, our different properties that we acquired. Okay, so with that being said, we're coming in as a control interest group. Okay, so when we walk into a deal, I'm the deal maker. So what I do, I go get the deal and bring it back to my inner circle, right? And we keep the squares out the circle temporary. So with that being said, we understand the bigger the pie, the more it's the share. So we not focused on the George Jefferson moving on up, finally got a piece of the pie. The bigger the pie, the more you could share. So we want the whole pie now. We is in 2023. You understand what I'm saying? So we're not running around looking for just a piece of the pie, but we'll take a piece of the pie, did it with apartment complex and office spaces and storage units and things. That's a piece of the pie. But to me, the acquisition with buying up companies are more lucrative because you could always innovate it and decrease a lot of liabilities and add value to it, and then it go to the moon. Well, real estate is only a limited product, but you can add additional value by raising rents up on units. So to me, commercial real estate apartment buildings operate like a company because they have a balance sheet. They have reserve capital to a certain extent. They have things like a company have because why? It's looked at in a commercial rent versus a resident rent where you can multiply things 10 times or more. So that's why I stay focused on the plan. I don't decrease my value. You know what I'm saying? But I understand appreciate and depreciate. So what I do is I focus on this. I'll focus on things that's going to get me to the next dimension faster. And we speak on levels, we forget sometimes that as us as a human being having a human experience, that it's layers to everything we do. And we like to get caught up in the hype saying what level we on. Okay, but what layers that we forgot to build to get to the next level. So with that being said, we have to not just understand but overstand monetary value. Meaning when you understand central banking, they understand how to come into a nation and get in the middle of all transactions that's going to be monetized through monetary policy. So they create the policy and then put the government under their own. So you have to understand how to not just think like a bank, but operate like a bank and become a powerful force. Because if you keep thinking on an owner operator, you're going to get the same results that average people get. You may have $2-3 million per se, maybe 100 million, but you may not never reach to have the billions of dollars, because once you understand the power of acquisitions, you start understanding that all big companies have one thing in common. They own up a bunch of other companies, small companies and big companies and so forth, so on. So when people look at the pandemic, how the rich, so-called public rich folks like the Elon Musk and so net worth shot to the roof, because while things was going well or wasn't going well, they was constantly buying up other companies. Amazon did it. You see Facebook did it. You see AT&T did it. You could go on. And I believe acquisition derived from inquisitions back in the days when they was taking control of different territories. So with that being said, you have to get in tune with your spiritual side to understand that the power is in the virtual side of you, not the physical side. And all this is dealing with the virtual side. So with that being said, you have to understand how Reggie Lewis was able to conquer in a 20-year span period by buying up companies. Only two, but he succeeded because once he closed the deal on the $22 million sewing company and valued it up, brought value to it, and cashed out $75 million, he was able to have good partners that Michael Malcolm and all these people that not co-sign but integrity sign, like, hey, let them in the auction. So with that being said, you have to understand that what's going to get some of us into the position that we want to do, it's going to be banking, finance, and acquisitions. It's nowhere around these three concepts. And you have to understand the fundamentals to economics. If you don't understand economics, you're going to always be in the rat race. You're going to always look at the dollar over the situation of your time. You're not gonna never monetize your time and have freedom to sit back and try to hire the smartest people to work for you or work with you or hire the best consultant. You know what I'm saying? Because when you have the best consultant firm, best consultant teams and legal advisors that's in the field, you're not just throwing your time, energy, and money out there thinking something is going to work like this. You hire people that's always in the mix. So with that being said, that's why I try to tell everybody to check out Wealtication, because the free book that I'm giving you is dropping not the jewels, but it's giving you the patent on the billionaire mindset. We are past the $1 million idea. The $1 million idea was in the 80s and 70s for us as blacks. You already had a bunch of black millionaires. Now it's time to create more black billionaires. So what I am doing is I am laying the path, and I'm not the only one. It's other guys out there that I see that's flexing around, and I mean just that they really own, like the M.A.D and so forth and so on. So when you look at guys like these guys, they actually understand the corporate structure all the way from M.A.D to Robert Smith and so forth. So a lot of guys behind the scene, they're not just talking again like so-called gurus giving you the credit again. They're actually putting you over to the private equity side, because they're showing you, no, it's not just about establishing this beautiful real estate portfolio or just creating this product service. It's about understanding how to acquire it and understand the difference between private and public. And by me was in the school, not the straw man, and was already sharp, I started understanding really the difference between public and private from way back. So with that being said, you have to distinguish concepts. You can't keep living life looking at it as one dimension. It's always 2 to 3 dimensions or more. So with that being said, we're just here today to just give you a little insight on how Paper Circle Group is actually an economic group also, and it's also an investment group. So when I call you on the line, it's time for you to wake up and let's see what Kay's talking about, because you know my story. I've been behind a situation for X amount of years, and now I'm here, I'm on ground, I'm ready to move, I'm moving like I'm already 100 man better. So you got to become the army for the army build. So you got to be the one man army for the army build. And with that being said, you understand that I go off contracts, agreements, and signing different documents to make sure that everybody's going to get their cut, their piece, their pie, and everything else. So I'm just breaking this here to let you know that once you understand this structure here, you will have a lot better pace on what you're trying to do: management, acquisition, distribution. And actually, it was just a format that I came up with, and it's in a lot of my infrastructure and another portfolio management course that I'm doing. But it's only for guys that once they outgrew outside of retail, they can step into the accredited investor, how to become an accredited investor, or actually open a fund and do like we doing. We're actually not just doing a portfolio company, but we also is about to go to the moon with the hedge fund structure with fast wealth, gain wealth, and all these type of other structures we have. So I'm just here to represent Paper Circle Group, Wealtication. You see this, you see the hoodie, you know what I'm saying, .org. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'm here one-on-ones and different things like that. So check me out. Peace, 13 man, me, we function. So I got to go, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later, but don't forget M.A.D Wealth by PCG and Wealtication.